Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before I get going, I want to show you this. This is the Masterworks CEO. They're one of my sponsors. The link's in the top of the description. I've been investing. They've got like a minimum investment of like $500 so that you can get access to contemporary art. I've been doing it myself. The link's in the top of the description. Listen to what he says, especially in these times. It's interesting.
So when you go back and you look at the 1970s, there were only three asset classes that gained relative value during that period. One was real estate, one was gold, and one was art. So I think real assets in an inflationary environment generally are interesting for investors.
And what are your investment returns?
Our investment returns, depending on the vehicle you look at, range between 9% and 39% on an annualized basis net of fees. So obviously,
that's pretty heavy duty. Okay, well, anyway, he goes out and he buys, or his company, Masterworks, goes out, they buy a piece of artwork, they divide it into $20 shares, and then they sell, people can go on and buy those at a minimum investment of $500. Pretty unbelievable. Let me make sure what I just, okay. Pretty unbelievable product they've got. Now, this I have a problem with. It's from Zero Hedge. There will be pain. Binance's CZ floats $1 billion bailout for distressed crypto. Apparently he's putting together some kind of a fund. Well, I say no bailouts. Failing is healthy. The best lessons come from getting burned. Let it all burn down and watch the phoenix rise from the ashes. Folks, now it's one thing if he's putting together a fund where, okay, you guys are in trouble, we'll give you some money, but we get some equity. That's investing at the right time. That's a good thing. But just giving people money as a bailout, no, that is not good for anyone. It doesn't do anyone any good. All it does is it teaches people how that they can make mistakes and then expect a bailout, so that they don't learn from any of those mistakes. And then what that means is they'll go and make them again. Because, hey, we get a bailout. What they did in 2008 is criminal, folks. That was Pandora's box. The fact that bailouts are even a discussion, that it's even a narrative at all, is so shameful and disgusting, it makes me sick to this day. And by the way, they said they were solving a problem, and that Ben Bernanke and all of them, they did victory laps. But guess what? Our country's now $30 trillion in debt. So, yeah, they really did a great job. I'll give you an interesting exercise. Go back and look at what the national debt was before the bailouts. And, of course, they'll lie and they'll say, oh, we made money on that. Well, we're $30 trillion in debt. Go look at what it was before those bailouts. And then they spent the next 15 years doing the exact opposite of what common sense would tell you to do, almost as if they were intentionally trying to destroy this country. Now, moving along, Mr. Intuitive, who's the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investors channel, and, he does show up on Fridays, even Black Friday. He's even cooler on Black Friday. He says, how does the XRP Army feel about each of us tweeting hashtag Hinman emails? You think we have the power to get that trending? I think we do. And guess what, folks? Those Hinman emails, in my opinion, are the fastest way to get a Ripple settlement. I believe Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderoty tweeted those tweets to basically let the SEC know, yeah, we're going to show all this stuff to the world unless you guys settle. So get ready. And I think that Gary Gensler is such an arrogant you-know-what that he would be the guy that would not have that information and know that he can't ever let the world see those emails, but push it to the very limit with every stall that he can possibly do, and then say, oh, okay, I'll settle now, because I think he's that kind of a bad guy. Now, this is interesting right here, and I avoided it when I first saw it. Michael Arrington, he's Brad Garlinghouse's best friend, or was, and he tweeted this out like a day ago. I love Ripple, and this startup seems fine, but the first paragraph is talking about something Proppy Inc. This, just so you know, I think it's still his girlfriend. This is Michael Arrington's girlfriend's company, I think. It was his girlfriend. I don't know if it still is, but anyway, he says, but the first paragraph is talking about something Proppy Inc. did, not them, and it's stolen valor. Proppy invented real estate NFTs, popularized them, and now this company is copying it. And he's referring to Proper Home. David Schwartz replied to him. I haven't seen if there's I'll hit the refresh button just in case there's a Twitter fight going on. We always like to see what's going on with that kind of stuff. I don't see David. Oh, there it is. So Michael Arrington has not replied, but David Schwartz says the first 6 paragraphs describe real estate NFTs generally. They don't attribute or imply credit to any particular company. Then there's a subhead that makes clear that the 7th paragraph and on are about XRPL, and only then is Proper Home mentioned. So I don't know what's going on here, but anyway. Okay, this is an interesting tweet. For those of you that have never seen some of these slides, I've seen pretty much all of them, but it's pretty interesting. If you want to be excited about XRP and XLM, what does institutional use case mean? Because XLM is being piloted for institutional use case. XRP is the first enterprise-ready digital asset. They both make up the stable coin network in the back end of U.S. payments landscape. After regulations, will they be restricted? So here, this is from a World Economic Forum document where it says JPM coin and XRP are most relevant wholesale CBDCs. And then this was also from, I think it was World Economic Forum document, BIS maybe. But they were talking about stable coins for cross-border payments. And they mentioned XRP and XLM as being stable coins. And then he's showing use case, fixed, JPM coin, access, central bank, wholesale, digital. Check this out. So that's that document. And then they've got front end, back end, and you'll see right here, Tier 1 XRPs this side, back end, front end, Apple Pay, Google Pay, big tech retail payments, payment aggregators, Amazon payments, Facebook, Google payments, and then right here, it's got exchanges, DLT platforms, RippleNet. So let's see what we've got over here. And then they've got Ripple provides hybrid technology that combines ILP and XRP ledger, multinational, controlled decentralization. See, that's what I've said for a long time. People are talking about decentralization or things not being decentralized. I've never believed that you're going to have pure decentralization. I call it controlled decentralization. In other words, let's say that the world agreed that XRP is going to be a bridge currency to the world. Okay, bridge different countries' walled gardens or whatever. Well, what I've always thought is you would have a discussion with all the countries involved, and you would say, okay, you can have as many XRP ledger nodes in your country. You can have them on the ground, and you can have them in bunkers. You can have them on your satellites, and then every country will have all of these things, and we've got ourselves a controlled decentralization. Everybody decides they're going to have some, and all of a sudden nobody has to trust each other. So I love this. Ripple enables multinational corporations to settle cross-border payments by transferring XRP through the Ripple network. And then it's got, these were from SBI slides right here. This is like, this person put together some of the documentation that we've been showing for about 4 years now on this channel. And that's a great tweet right there. All right. As we've mentioned, Andrew Ross Sorkin says that he thinks that there's a lot of important questions that Sam Bankman-Fried needs to answer. And that's how he's rationalizing these guys having him at the New York Times Deal Book conference or whatever. That's how they're rationalizing it, when they all know that the guy has committed crimes and ought to be behind bars, and then maybe you can talk to him through the bars. Well, I told Andrew Ross Sorkin, since you're so interested in asking hard questions to SBF, why don't you have some of his victims, like this guy, on your program, and him at the same time, let them ask some hard questions? Or will that alter the narrative too much? Listen to this. This is a victim. No, think about this. Andrew Ross Sorkin is going to interview this guy like he would just another businessman, like he didn't do anything. Okay? Here's one of his victims.
He was scammed by FTX, costing him approximately $2 million. Joining me live is crypto investor Evan Luthra. Evan, do you think you'll ever get your money back?
I don't know right now. I don't want to think about it, so there's no way I can tell. I mean, it'll really depend on the lawmakers if they are able to claw back the funds from the donations to the Democrats, to the houses that he bought in the Bahamas. I mean, it all adds up, and we don't even know where the rest of the billions of dollars went, right? They had $16 billion in user funds. As of the lawyers said they have around $1 billion left. So it's really hard to say if I'll get it back or no. I really hope the lawmakers come in here and at least starting with funding the donations they got and then going after these funds that are being spent widely.
Yeah, that clawback is obviously the key here. Clawing back of assets is something that happens in every bankruptcy, or at least is supposed to. But how do you claw back something as vague as crypto? Because I don't imagine there are too many clawback provisions regarding crypto in the bankruptcy code.
So, I mean, end of the day, crypto is a form of transferring value, right? It's and the good thing about crypto is you can see where all the funds went. At least the blockchain is very open. Over the last few days, we've been seeing companies and researchers coming out and tracking wherever all those funds went. So the intention is there. I am confident that they can get it back. It will really come down to how much of a experienced con man or a fraud Sam Bankman-Fried is and how he covered his tracks. But I'm confident that we can get some of the funds back, hopefully, but it really come down to the lawmakers. I mean, the properties and stuff, you can obviously sell them and get it back, and then hopefully we can get some money back.
Evan, if I lost $2 million, I'd be wondering, why isn't Samuel Bankman-Fried in jail?
I'm wondering the same thing. I'm wondering exactly the same thing. Is it because of his donations to the politicians? I mean, it's a clear-cut case of fraud. The guy doesn't even have an accountant. How do you run a company? And how are you yourself? He was considered to be a billionaire. How do you not have an accountant for a company of this size? How do you not have a CFO, right?
It's crazy. Well, John Deaton addresses that right here, and I'm asking, why is he not arrested? I'm asking Andrew Ross Sorkin, New York Times. And I said, remember the names of the people and the companies who are going along with all of this, folks, and acting like he's just another guy and not someone who's committed a crime. Because you just heard from one of the victims. And because here, they know it's a lie, folks. This is what pisses me off so bad. They know it's a lie, and they're flipping Americans the bird anyway, okay? So remember their names. This Andrew Ross Sorkin, this is a scarlet letter on your chest. So remember that. Don't forget their names, folks.
Brought up fraud and conspiracy. What everybody needs to understand is we have to ask ourselves, why is this guy not arrested already? And trust me, there's a statute. It's called 18 USC section 1343. It's a wire fraud statute. And that wire fraud statute, doesn't matter they lives in the Bahamas. On top of that, Bahamas allows extradition to the United States. Doc, do you know how easy it is to get jurisdiction? All you need for wire fraud is one email to the United States, one account, one wire from a U.S. bank at any time to any of those entities. Think that ever happened? Any contacts with the United States? You could even never visit the United States. And if you involved any bank or any email, the U.S. government can assume jurisdiction over you. And then you brought up money laundering. That's another charge that isn't that difficult to prove. But for wire fraud, it's very easy. You can use a fax machine, a telephone, or an email or a bank account, and you get jurisdiction. And we've got to hold these people accountable who keep acting like, here's this genius who was a big risk taker and he just got ahead of himself, and market volatility and a perfect storm came, and he lost it all, but he's a good guy. That's bullshit.
I love it. Now, this might explain something. Breaking: 8 Congress members tried to stop the SEC from inquiring into FTX by questioning the SEC's authority to inquire about crypto. 5 of those 8 members also received campaign donations. Please tell me this is not true, folks. Tom Emmer's on the list. You got Warren Davidson on the list. Darren Soto on the list. Now, I want to make sure that we're clear here, folks. This could be. Now, I'm not saying that these people did not get contributions, but I also know that the same forces that are trying to act like Sam Bankman-Fried's just a misunderstood guy that made a mistake, those same people are going to try to paint this, and they're going to try to point in one direction to keep the heat off of Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler, I don't care if they did try to talk him out at one point of going after this. Gary Gensler was working with these people. They were having planning sessions, and the CFTC was too. So don't think Gary Gensler's not a part of this problem. Now, this is I made a comment here. We used to have a media that would do investigative journalism. I can remember when 60 Minutes would literally go be on the ground at this bank, because what they're saying here is FTX owned an $11.5 million stake in a rural bank called Farmington Bank in Farmington, Washington. Okay, town has 146 people. You talking about red flag city? That is red flag city. Why in the world? What were they doing through that bank? That's shady as it gets right there. We used to have 60 Minutes and investigative journalists like them that would see something like this and know that something really smelled horrible. And they would be on the ground talking to these people about how in the world FTX became an investor in their bank. But not anymore. Now, in the United States of America, everybody carries a narrative for powerful people behind the scenes that don't want them to talk about certain things. Scary. It's a scary country we live in now, folks. It's not the one I grew up in. I can promise you that. I'm the digital asset investor. Oh, I wanted to remind you, by the way, Link2 is having a Black Friday. I don't have the details in front of me, but go Link2, link in the top of the description. Tell them DAI sent you. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that for some reason FTX owns a stake in some tiny one-branch bank in Farmington, Washington. What in the world is going on?